So, a very warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for the second event in our Women-Led Wonder series. This series of events was designed to give an opportunity to our business members, female founders, who to tell their story their way, and to really, for us to be able to get under the skin of their business journey, what drives them, what inspires them, and how they've got to where they've got to. And obviously, there's a lot for us to learn along the way, whether we're professionals or business owners. I think there's a lot that we can take from one another's journeys. And I'm sure that you will all agree that now more than ever, we need to keep our inspiration tanks filled and have some hope for the future. So I know, having had a chat to Kuku yesterday, that she's got a lot of inspirational insights to share with us today. And Kuku, I would love to hand over to you first to just tell us a little bit about your business, what it is that you do, and then we can chat afterwards as to how you got there.
Okay.
So over to you.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'm a little bit nervous, so please be patient and kind to me. But yeah, my name is Kuku Nukajam, as Michelle has shared, and I own Rain Swim, which is a fuller bus swimwear and now loungewear brand for, I would say, the millennial woman, but not exclusively. And the reason why I started this business really and truly was because, as a fuller bus woman myself, swimwear initially was something that I found so difficult to find. And it was that one thing that would give me stress and hypertension anytime I was planning a holiday. And when me and my husband got married and went on our honeymoon, obviously, you know what it's like planning a wedding, super busy. I spent so much time planning the wedding that I didn't put as much effort into finding swimwear that was going to, fit. But I did find some swimwear that I expected to fit. And I didn't try it on before we went away. And when we got to Thailand and I tried it on, it did not fit as I wanted it to. And this was like our first major trip away. And I mean, I just got married. So I really wanted to, wow, the vainness, I know is unreal, but I really wanted to wow and feel comfortable. But I honestly did not. And as I was in the pool on our honeymoon, I was like, I don't want any other woman to feel this way. Whether it's a special moment or whether it's just a holiday with the girls, with the family, I feel like every woman deserves to feel comfortable and empowered in their own skin. And from there, I was just like, I'm going to start my own swimwear line. And that's kind of how we got started.
And I remember you were telling me yesterday, when we had a preliminary chat about this, was that you actually started, kind of looking for suppliers on your sun lounger on honeymoon.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I fell sick on it was either the second or third day of our 10-day honeymoon. So I had ample time because I'd hurt my foot. I'm not too sure how, but I basically couldn't really walk. So I was kind of bedbound, or when I did have the energy to walk, we'd just go to the pool. And obviously everywhere now we have Wi-Fi. So I was just like, I'm going to look for manufacturers. I'm going to start building a landing page. I'm going to start getting on Instagram and think of a name. And I think that's just how I am by nature. If I get an idea, it's like, okay, cool. We have to go for it before the inspiration and the passion kind of dies out.
Yeah. And that leads me to my next question, actually, about your career journey so far, because you had an extensive career in digital marketing before this. Yeah. So can you tell us about that and how that's helped you build Rain Swim?
Yeah, completely. So my background is that I went to university and I studied media communications, where I specialized in PR. And to be honest, when I got to uni, day one, I remember coming back from my induction lectures and being like, oh my God, like, what have I signed up for? I don't know if this is really what I want to do, but being of a Nigerian background, education is very important in our culture. So there was no way that I could, or at least I felt there was no way that I could go to my parents and be like, I don't know if I've made the right decision. I want to drop out. So instead I was like, girl, you're going to do this and you need to put all your energy into it, completely ace it. So that was kind of my mission. And I'm glad that I was able to succeed in doing that. I got a first class. I did, I think, about a year's worth of work experience whilst I was in university, which set me up really well to kind of graduate and go straight into industry, where I worked at quite a few well-known agencies on PR and digital accounts. And over time, I specialised more in social media and digital marketing. And I think that was just because I was fresh blood, I was young, and they're kind of like, okay, cool, you understand social media, you understand digital, like, here's the account, here's the project, kind of get on with it. And for me, that's been an absolute blessing, now being an entrepreneur, now being a businesswoman, because we wear many hats, and product development is one aspect, being financial director is another aspect, but being head of marketing is another aspect. And I'm grateful to be able to call upon those skills that I've acquired over the years to be able to start this brand and to reach the audiences that I've reached today. It's been, I don't know what I would do if I did not have that knowledge and those skills today. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, and I think that puts you in a really fortunate position, because as many business owners have discovered over the last 9 or 10 months, we've been dealing with the pandemic, is that digital channels and digital growth is so key to the success and survival of a business.
Absolutely.
Because when you can't have face-to-face interactions with your clients, you need to be able to reach them in different ways. And I think the businesses that have pivoted and survived over this time are those that have really embraced both their digital channels, but also their community. Can you tell us about how important it's been for you to build a community around your brand?
Absolutely. So being that the products that we create as Brain Swim, we are, I don't like saying it, but we are a specialist brand. We have a very niche and targeted audience. And because these women have a pain point, being that, you know, they're full of bust and they can't just go to any shop to buy products that fit them and that's going to give them the support that they want, and that's also going to, you know, draw them in terms of the style and how fashionable and trendy it is. We have a really big job to do in educating the customer and making them, or helping them to buy into our brand value. And it's so Rain Swim, in comparison to, I don't know, a Pretty Little Thing or ASOS selling swimwear, our customer journey is a lot longer. So ensuring that we're building a community who are aware of the founder, aware of the journey, aware of the fact that we understand the pain point, that we too experience those pain points, has been of utmost importance to me as a business owner, and to me also as a consumer. Sometimes I have to take a step back and think, okay, obviously I want to make sales. Every business wants to make sales, but as a customer, as someone that's part of this community, what value do I want from the brand above and beyond before I go ahead and, you know, make that purchase? And I think that social media has been a great tool, not only in the pandemic, but just generally speaking, to allow businesses, small and big, to embrace that connection with their community, be open with them, have conversations that maybe a bigger company would not necessarily be able to have, and get them really involved in the manufacturing or the design process, and just general conversations about different interests that are aligned to both us, or me as a business and business owner, and the customers or potential customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really resonates. And I know that through the conversations I've had with different women's chapter members and through our mastermind sessions, that's really been a very clear message that's come out, is that, you know, a lot of people have had to take a step back and be vulnerable and say to their communities, you know, their clients, their supply chain, what do you need from us? How can we help you? How can we be servicing you better now? And those that have pivoted or started up new product lines, and, you know, it's largely been in response to the feedback that they've had from their clients and from their community.
And I mean, we did exactly the same thing. I mean, we're called Rain Swim and our focus is swimwear, but in light of this pandemic and the fact that we are based in UK, where we experience sun, I don't know, like what, 3 months of the year? Like, I mean, good sun, about 3 months of the year. We don't have hot tubs and pools in our back garden. So it was quite hard to really think about how are we going to get people to buy our products when they're not going on holiday, they're not going to the beach, they're not going to the spa, everyone's at home. And our response to that was that, well, okay, everyone's working at home, we want to be comfortable whilst we're working at home, let's launch a loungewear line. And that's kind of where we developed new products, specifically wireless bralettes, so that women could work from home comfortably and fashionably, so yeah, that was kind of our response to what we felt the community needed at a time such as this.
Well, we were saying this yesterday, I'm a big fan of the bralette. But also I know for fuller busted women, it's impossible to buy a bralette in the shop because everything that they don't make them in those cup sizes. So it's, I should imagine that there are a lot of women who have been doing happy dances in response to you launching a loungewear range that they can access and that actually fits them and makes them feel good.
Completely. The response has been honestly overwhelming, and often get DMs and emails from women saying how much, they see the Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger bralettes and they've always wanted one, but they don't fit them well. And then we've kind of brought out a product that emulates that style, but has been designed specifically for the bustier, for the fuller bust woman. So they're able to enjoy, what their straight sized, it doesn't sound very glam, but the straight size counterparts might be able to enjoy, And for me, that is so encouraging as a solopreneur, because you make decisions and you're kind of like, is this a good idea? Should I be investing my money in developing something new? This was not part of the plan, but it's kind of just having the courage to believe that if you're responding to what the community wants, that they're gonna lap it up, and they're gonna jump on it. So yeah, the response has been great.
And I guess that's also that's one of the advantages of being a small business, is that you can be agile in that way. If you want to do something, the decision-making process around it, if you feel based on your community feedback that it's the right thing to do, you can activate that because the decision is you and your team. Yeah. So in terms of the pandemic, because obviously swimwear is very closely linked to travel. And in the UK, I think the last count a couple of months ago was that there were 90,000 people who had lost their jobs as a result of the impact on the travel industry.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with that? Because people clearly, yes, there was that very small window in the summer where people could get away. Yeah. But there definitely wasn't the long haul, travel, and that would have continued throughout the year outside of the summer season. How have you dealt with that?
So one, launching the loungewear line, that had been, if we didn't do that, I think that, I don't know if I necessarily had said yes to today's call, because I probably wouldn't have been so confident. But I guess that's all part of business, whether there's a pandemic or not. You're going to have peaks and troughs in your journey, and you kind of have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep going. But launching the loungewear collection really did help. But also the fact that we are a digital business and we're not confined to like our brick and mortar store or anything like that, and that we have access to social media and other digital platforms, means that we're able to market our products to other territories and other markets. So that's something that I did spend a lot of time and effort doing. So our customer base is primarily the UK, or that's our primary focus, but we also have customers in the US, Canada, and Australia, which is awesome, because, well, Australia, they're like the other side of the world. So when we are cold, they are hot. So it means we can be always on as a business. And then the US, certain states have a lot warmer climates than we have in the UK in general. So again, that offers us another opportunity to continue selling when things might not necessarily be going well here, not only in the pandemic, but above and beyond that. And likewise in Canada. And that's honestly been such a blessing. And I feel like for me, it encourages me to keep going with the business when you see that people from countries outside of your own are interested in your product. It just kind of validates your idea, and it validates the existence of the business in and of itself, really.
So would you say that that's been a silver lining of the pandemic? Because you've only really been operating officially for the last year or so.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you kind of started a business and then went straight into one of the most challenging times that business owners have faced. Um, and typically, I guess it would have taken a lot longer for you to have expanded into other territories. But has this been a positive of the pandemic that you've been forced out of your comfort zone in that sense?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think one thing that I was saying to you yesterday, that when I started the business, I was kind of like one track mind. It's like, okay, I'm going to start a swimwear business, hence the name Rain Swim. But over the past 2 years, I mean, we've been launched for just over a year. I've been working on the project or the business for 2 years. But yes, I was very one track mind, but the pandemic has taught me that I need to be agile, I need to be innovative, I need to be willing to pivot if an opportunity, whether it's negative or positive, like peers its head. And yes, initially I just wanted to focus on UK. I feel like it's manageable, I can control it, whether it's from shipping out of goods. I mean, we were just talking about this before the call started. With the pandemic, Royal Mail has been super strained. And at one point, I send something to a customer first class and it could take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get to them when it's supposed to take one day. So me being based in the UK, I just wanted everything to be also based in the UK. But there are opportunities above and beyond where we are. I've actually just got my first wholesale order from a retailer in Australia, which is super exciting. And sometimes I have to pinch myself and be like, girl, you did that, because I have only really been doing this for 1 year. And even though it's just the first order and it's not a huge order, it's still something. Again, it validates the business existing, it validates the need of the products in the market. And yeah, it's like people outside of here, they want us, so it's definitely been a silver lining.
Brilliant. Well, actually, we've had a question here, which maybe it's appropriate to ask now, from Josephine. She's asking, for your international customers, what would you recommend to keep the shipping costs down so that it's not extortionate? How are you managing that?
So right now we have 2 shipping options. So we can either ship via Royal Mail, which is substantially cheaper. It's about £15, which I understand is a lot to justify for shipping. But with that, especially because we're in a pandemic, it can take quite a while. It can take anything from 5 to 30 days. But then we also offer expedited shipping via DHL, which costs £20. It's only £5 difference, and you get it in 2 to 4 days. So I'm quite confident in our products, but it's also very daunting having international customers buy, because the returns process is going to be a lot different to if somebody was based in the UK. But I would encourage them to make the investment and pay for the expedited shipping so that they can be assured that they get their product, because we are, again, I hate using the word, but we are a specialist business. We exist for full-bust women, and when you shop, we want you to be assured that you're going to be able to purchase something that will give you adequate fit, support, and meet your needs in terms of being fashionable and trendy. So I would definitely encourage them to be like, just go for it, give us a try, sort of thing.
Brilliant. And I think one of the sort of things that fascinates me about your journey, and this is possibly because of your digital marketing knowledge and experience, but going into new territories and launching new product lines and being able to move those products. What's the how behind that? I mean, do you have 3 top tips, I guess, you could share around how to drive sales online? Because in the absence of a bricks and mortar business, those are your sales channels. So I'm interested to know, and I'm sure there'll be others in the room.
Completely. So I would say, number one, don't underestimate the power of SEO, so search engine
optimization.
I don't know why that just left my head. Then I was like, you know what you're talking about. So SEO. So just making sure that your website is absolutely filled with keywords. I'm always astonished at how many sales come direct from Google. And like every time I get a sale, my website is built on Shopify. So there's a great deal of back-end analytics and data that you have access to, which I think is super helpful as a business person to have access to. So every order I get, I always check to see where the order has come through, and I'm always shocked at how many come from Google, and that encourages me to write blog posts, to keep updating my product listings so that people, when they're typing in specific keywords into Google, that they find my business, and also understanding what your powerful keywords are. So no one knows what your products are called. If you're a new brand and they don't know of you, they don't know that your product is called the Ashley bikini, for example, but they do know that they're looking for a fuller bust bikini. So it's just making sure that you understand what your keywords are and making sure that you put them in on your website wherever you can. So my second tip is influencers or micro influencers. So making sure that you are working with people within your niche community, sending them products, building relationships with them, and to help facilitate brand awareness, and also helping, I guess you're building relationships with them if they're a smaller influencer. As you grow, you're a small business. As you both grow, you grow together, which can be super powerful. But they help you get the word out because people trust what they say. If I am a influencer and I have, I don't know, 2,000 followers, and people follow me because I post about the bras that I wear, or where I buy my swimsuits from, or how I keep confident in a world that doesn't portray images of women like me, I'm sharing all that information. I'm definitely going to listen when that person is sharing information about a new brand or a new product that has come out to market. And I think my third tip would be to invest in paid ads on social media and on other digital platforms. So whether you're doing PPC on Google or you're doing ads on Facebook and Instagram, invest in it. Just start with like £5 a day. Test different images, test different copy, and just see how you get on with your audience. And even if these ads are not necessarily driving you sales today, don't underestimate how much brand awareness it's generating you. For me, just the other day, I think I was on Mumsnet because I'm 7 months pregnant, and I don't even know what I was doing on Mumsnet, to be honest with you. I think I was just killing time, but I was like, oh, let me type in rain swim. And oh my God, I saw a thread about rain swim, and I was just like, wow, that is so encouraging. And a lady was saying she hadn't tried us, but she had seen our ads, and that she was kind of basically sharing our brand story. And I was quite encouraged by that because I was like, wow, your ads are working. You know, what you do today might not necessarily generate sales today, but they might generate you sales a year from now or 6 months from now. So just keep going and don't give up.
Yeah. Well, I think those are all really practical, valuable insights, because I think people are often quite afraid of PPC, or, you know, putting money behind ads, or having had bad experiences with platforms like Facebook where they've spent money and it's never generated anything for them.
Yeah.
You were mentioning yesterday, actually, and that's made me think of it while we were chatting, that you said you look at the numbers, you check your data.
Yes.
Is that another piece of advice that you would offer to everyone, is to kind of really let the numbers guide you?
100%. It's really easy to just go off of emotion when you're investing money in something, and our expectation is always for it, whatever we do, to drive sales. But there's so many different things that are also valuable, you know, from what we're doing. So if you're running an ad, definitely check your data. You want to see if people are clicking to go through your website, because you could be running ads and no one's actually clicking to go through your website. That's a problem, you know. So then it suggests that, okay, I might need to change my imagery here, or I might need to change my messaging here to actually bring people in so that they take that next step to go onto the website. I heard somewhere, I can't remember where it was, someone was just saying that, when you do ads, when you run ads, you're not selling. It's not called Facebook selling. It's called Facebook advertising. So you have to remember that you're paying for advertising. You're not paying to sell a product. You sell the product on your website. So you want to get people to the website. So it's important that you do look at that data, look at how many people you've reached, how many times they've seen the post, if they've engaged, do they comment on the post, do they like the post? Look at all of that to really be able to draw insights to then help you take that next step, to try and get to the ultimate end goal, which is the sale.
Yeah. I feel like we have a masterclass coming on here. We've got to do a one with you on how to sell online. But, no, I mean, it's really, really interesting. And I see we've got some questions and comments in the chat. But before we do that, because I think let's save that for at the end when we've got some time where people can ask their questions. What's in your toolkit for how you deal with challenge?
Okay, so for me, I don't have a very comprehensive toolkit, but the two things that I do is just take a step back. I think sometimes when issues arise or a situation that is uncomfortable and frustrating arises, it's really easy to react off of emotion. And that's one thing that I think that's a journey that I'm currently going through as a business owner. And I mean, it's only been two years, but in those 2 years, I had to learn so many things and unlearn so many things, because like I've already said, I've come from a completely different industry where I'm used to working in a particular way, and in this industry that I'm in now, they just don't work that way. And it took me a long time to accept it, which led to many tears, much frustration and irritation, which then in turn affects how you interact with people. And I don't want that. So I always try and take a step back. If I need to take a nap, take the nap, but just don't respond straight away. Give myself a little bit of breathing room, because I feel like when you come back with fresh eyes, your approach will always be different. And the second thing I do is just make sure that I have women around me, other women in business around me. I'm blessed and fortunate to actually know quite a few business women, but I'm always looking for new people to meet, especially people in similar industries to me, because sometimes when you speak to other people, you realize that an issue or a situation is not mutually exclusive to you. You're not the only one that has experienced this. And somebody can share advice with you or some encouragement with you, or just make you realize that this is actually an opportunity, not an issue. So yeah, just making sure that you have a network around you that you can reach out to at those times when you are confused, because it's gonna happen. You're not gonna have the answer to absolutely everything.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's so key to have a group of people you trust who you can use as sounding boards, whether they be from the same industry or from a different one, because the varying perspectives that you get from different people, where you see a challenge, actually somebody else may see an opportunity. And I'm hesitant to use the word vulnerable, but I think it is important for us to kind of let our guard down and allow people in, and to kind of say, do you know what, I'm really struggling with this. And often when you come away from those kind of get together, whether it be a mastermind or physical networking or just a group of people that you're on a WhatsApp group with, you can ask those questions, and what is it, a problem shared is a problem halved.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Completely agree.
So I wanted to ask you as well about kind of what other advice you would give to women starting a business or considering starting a business, because I think another trend that's come out of this recent period is that people have realized, many people have realized how unhappy they are in their jobs, or that they've had a little bit more time or a change of scenery, more time at home to think about what it is that they really want to do. So for both professionals that might be looking to make a career shift or a career change, but also those who may be considering starting a business, what advice would you have for those women?
My advice would be to just start. As I kind of shared, when this idea came to me specifically, I just started then and there. And I feel like as you do that, it gives you the momentum, it gives you the passion, the encouragement, the determination to go further. When you kind of twiddle your thumbs and you and ah, it takes a lot more for you to get to a place of action, you know. And when starting a business and maintaining and running a business, you need to be active, you need to be able to make decisions, you need to be able to think quickly, you know, spot the opportunity, react to the opportunity. So I would say just start. If you're thinking of doing something but you're a bit unsure, just start. And then to people who are maybe looking to transition from one career to another, I would say, again, go for it. Do the research, make sure you have a bit of an understanding of what it is that you want to do and how it's going to work for you, have a bit of a road plan, but go for it. I think that life is short, and we do often find ourselves in situations and circumstances where we feel like this is the industry that I've always worked in. I have to stay here. How can I transition into another industry? But you absolutely can. For me in particular, I was made redundant from my last role. But Rain Swim was something that I had already been working on actively. So at the point that I got made redundant, for me, I was like, thank you, Jesus, because I wasn't going to quit my job to do this full time, even though I wanted to. And even though I'd written in my journal a year prior that I was going to do that. And I left my previous role with the goal in mind of like focusing on this business. But then I found myself freelancing here, freelancing there, until I found myself in another permanent, you know, role. So when I did get made redundant, it was kind of like that real push that I needed. And if we think about it, it's a crazy time to get made redundant. I got made redundant just before this pandemic kicked off. And to be honest with you, me and my husband, we've been absolutely fine. Like, we haven't struggled financially. And this business that I'm running has grown. And we also have a property business, which has also grown, which you wouldn't have expected. But it's like, I now have the time, I now have the capacity, I have the mental space, do you know what I mean, to think about how I want to grow these businesses, and I'm able to do that. So just go for it. It's never too late. I was saying to Michelle just yesterday that my mother-in-law, she's also started a property business. She's in her like late 50s, and I'm so inspired by that, because to me it just makes me feel like, well, I can't give up. I'm only 28 years old. Like, I have how many seasons of life ahead of me, and we can always adapt and just become the new person that we're dreaming of becoming. But we just have to go for it.
Thank you. Those are such wise, inspiring words. And I know that when you were talking about your mother-in-law yesterday, you were talking about legacy. And I would love you to share that with us, your view on legacy.
Absolutely. So for me, I think one of my fears in life is just not walking in purpose, not doing what I was called to do here on this earth and leaving an impact. And that doesn't mean necessarily fame or being an influencer, but it's about having an impact on the people around you. And one of the things that inspires me is mother-in-law, my mother, my dad owns his own business. I've got uncles that own their own business. My grandfather, he owned his own business. And I kind of want to walk in those footsteps as well and leave something behind for those coming after me. I mean, now that I'm pregnant more than ever, I'm like, I need to leave this baby boy something behind, you know? Not that they have to work in these businesses, but they're able to see like, wow, my mum did this, my grandmother did this, my aunt did this, or that lady that lived down the street from me, she did this. And also to be able to offer opportunities to people, because that's something that I always wanted. I feel like there are businesses that exist, and you can go through extensive applications for internships or apprenticeship programs or grad schemes. But sometimes you just kind of need that friendly face, that local person who's like, oh, just come to the office for 2 days. And if it's marketing you want to do, just shadow the team. If it's finance that you're interested in, just shadow the team. And that's something that I want to be able to do. Like, that idea of legacy and leaving something behind is something that honestly inspires and drives me greatly. Yeah.
Thank you. That's, yeah, amazing. I mean, I was really touched because you were also saying that both, you know, your husband's family and your mum moved here and kind of started from scratch.
Yeah,
And,
completely.
and that you feel a sense of responsibility to leave the same kind of impact that they've created for you on other people. And I think that's I certainly, that as an, you know, from someone, I didn't grow up in this country, and I certainly feel that I would like my children to be driven to leave some sort of legacy or make a change. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Well, I know we've got some questions popping into the chat here. So before we hand over to that, I would like to do a quick round of short fire questions with you. So you're not allowed to think too much about the answers to the questions.
I will try.
But the first one is, who or what inspires you?
Okay, so I think I kind of answered this already, but again, that idea of leaving a legacy behind, leaving something behind, that's something that I know one might think motivates someone, but it inspires me. Like if I close my eyes and envision what I could leave behind, I'm like, that's really inspirational. And I'd also say women like Michelle Obama, who come from really humble beginnings, you know, but have worked their way up despite whatever their circumstances or situations may be, and become the powerful women, people that they are today.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And what about your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, again, I'd say just not walking in purpose, not doing what I'm called to do. Like that can keep me up at night. And maybe I'm too sensitive and too serious, but really and truly, I feel a sense of duty to make sure that I leave a mark in the way that I have been called to leave a mark.
That's brilliant. Most courageous thing you've ever done?
Not applying for a job after I got made redundant. And that was hard. And I was on LinkedIn many nights looking at roles. But no, I'm committed to this journey for this season at least.
And what about a guiltless pleasure? Because I know we all have guilty pleasures, but I think a lot of the time we shouldn't be guilty about them. So guiltless pleasure.
Guiltless pleasure, I would say, it's quite embarrassing, but ordering in food. I mean, sometimes you're too tired, you know, and you have to eat. So ordering food, yeah, I feel like technology is so great and such a blessing. I can order in breakfast, I can order in lunch, I can order in dinner, and that gives me time to do whatever it is that I need to focus on, you know, especially as a solopreneur, you're juggling many hats, you don't necessarily have all the time in the world, but at least I can still eat.
There's a self-care message there, isn't there, about being kind to ourselves and not putting too much pressure, particularly as women. And I know there are many women who have said that they sort of felt over this period that they've been pushed back into the 1950s, where they've been having to juggle running their businesses or doing their jobs from home, as well as cooking 3 meals a day, homeschooling, you know, being or on calls. And so I think there's a strong message there about not having to be everything to everyone all of the time.
100%.
Done is better than perfect. And if that means getting in takeaways, you know, a couple of times a day in order to get everybody fed and keep things ticking over, then we do what we've got to do, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I love cooking, and that is probably one of the things that my husband loves most about me. But because I will, out of love, bring him breakfast, bring him lunch, bring him dinner. Like sometimes he does not eat unless I do these things. So I realized that I've created a problem for myself. You know, like even this morning, he was like, "Oh, babe, could you make me breakfast?" And I'm just like, oh, I literally created this problem for myself. So yes, if I can order something in here and there, I absolutely will, because I still want to show love in that way. But I also want to grow my business and attend to other things that I need to attend to and not feel stressed about doing so. So yeah.
And then the last one is the mantra you live by.
And the mantra I live by is do your best and forget the rest. I think, again, keying into that message of self-care and self-love and just being kind to yourself. You can only do so much. And it's so easy to stress and wear yourself out, fretting over certain things. But if you've done the research, if you've done the due diligence and you have a plan, just go for it. If it doesn't work out, I assure you there's a way to recover. And if it does work out, well then, hey, you had nothing to worry about. So don't waste the time worrying about it. So just do your best and just forget absolutely everything else.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, Kuku, it's been absolutely wonderful to chat to you this morning. You are an inspiration, and I think, you know, you're so new in your business journey still, but yet seem to have learned so much and had so much insight to share with us today, which is really, really phenomenal. So thank you. I'm going to hand over. We've got some questions here, which I'll read out, but if anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a question, please do let us know. We've still got a few minutes. So Kate has said she'd love to know more about your manufacturing process. And did you start off making the garments yourself, or do you work with a seamstress or factory to produce your products?
So I literally have no fashion experience other than buying clothes because we have to wear clothes. So my manufacturing process is that I get inspiration from somewhere. So it might be Pinterest, might be a magazine, might be Instagram, just the world. And then I work with a fashion designer, which you can find on Fiverr, People Per Hour, Upwork, all of these online platforms, and work with them to create your technical designs and sketches. And then you want to work with a pattern cutter or a seamstress to create those patterns for the garments. And then sometimes these people all work in one place. But if you're starting new, sometimes you need to kind of like build your team of freelancers, and that's kind of the approach that I've taken. But yeah, once you have your patterns and tech packs, I then send that to my manufacturer. And the beauty of doing things that way is that you can literally send your technical information to any manufacturer and they should be able to produce the product, because that tech pack has absolutely everything in from the grading and the shape and the sizes of your garment to the measurements, the materials, the trimming, the finishing. And yeah, and you go through your sampling stage, you do iterations, you get things taken in, you add things, your idea might completely change, but it's just it's literally a work in progress, and from there you go to manufacture your final piece. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful and made sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'm like, whoa, that's so, there's so much in there, isn't there, in terms of kind of, it's a very much a creative process.
It is, and I think that it can seem intimidating, but once you have a process kind of set in stone, everything really should flow through the process beautifully and naturally till you have that final garment in your hands that you're able to sell to your customer base.
We've had a comment here from Joy saying she loves your journey and how you've pivoted in the pandemic, and that she struggles with styling her plus size. So Joy is a stylist, and she was the one that I was talking about actually. So you guys definitely need to connect.
Absolutely.
I think there are plenty of synergies for you to explore together in terms of your respective client bases and obviously your product line. And Joy is asking about the sizes that you offer.
So our size offering is from a 28F all the way to a 38 double K.
Wow. Okay.
So we have simplified it though. So we have all of those sizes, but we've grouped them into 4 sizes based on the underband measurement and underbust measurement and overbust measurement. But we accommodate all those sizes, so don't be thrown off by a simplified sizing system.
Okay, brilliant. And does anyone else have a question that they might like to ask themselves? We've got a couple of minutes, so if anyone would like to ask anything, no, or feel free to pop it in the chat and we can ask questions. I wonder too if there are any resources, because I'll do a follow-up email after this. Obviously, we will send everyone a thank you. Yeah. But if there are any kind of digital marketing resources or things, you know, your go-tos in terms of platforms you recommend or for analytics or anything like that, it would be really handy to pass those on to everybody.
Yeah,
I think we definitely need to look at doing some sort of masterclass with you next year.
I'd love to. Yeah,
we can share a specific, some specific kind of thought leadership around this.
Yeah, no problem. More than happy to do that.
Brilliant. Well, I think we have reached the end. We sort of bang on 45 minutes. So a massive thank you to everyone for joining us today and for engaging. Kuku, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a breath of fresh air, and definitely you've put a spring in my step. So I have no doubt that
Thanks
you've
so
done the
much.
same for everybody else today. So eloquent, so inspiring. So thank you very much for sharing. And please do also let us know, and I'll include this in the follow-up, how we can support you, how we can help you. If there's anything you need help with,
Yeah.
tell us. We're all here to support one another, and I
Amazing.
think I'm a firm believer in the power that women have together is exponential. So we really, really need to utilize that right now, particularly in
Absolutely.
the current environment, and support one another. And I know we're featuring you in our Christmas list as well. So the Women's Chapter Christmas list will be landing soon. So everyone can watch out for that either in their mailboxes, or we're going to be serializing it across Instagram as well. But by all means, let us know if there's anything particular that you think are good gift options, and I can include that in the follow-up email as well for everybody.
Amazing. I will do just that. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. We've got lots of thank yous. Thank you so much, Kate, Veronica, everybody. Lots of smiling faces here. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.